Hey everybody, I thought I'd go check to see what's going on with everybody and all this crazy COVID stuff going on. Everybody's been working, getting things done, but you know, we're down to only got 4 people in the aircraft department, a couple of projects going on, you know, and we're just kind of holding tight for a little bit. We got the museum lights going to be open in next month, and we're just chipping away trying to get through all the craziness. See what Rick's been up to.
Hey, good morning.
Hey Rick, what's happening? Just checking, seeing what you've been up to.
In the process now of finishing the polishing on the last 2 of the larger skins on the left wing.
Yep.
Trying to get this thing up to speed with the right one. Once I get all the polishing done on these, I'll go ahead and bring them all into the paint booth, paint the back sides, primer and paint them, and get them ready to start shooting everything together.
Is this, I mean, that's shinier. Has this already been hit with something already?
Yeah, what I've done is I've sanded this in the process all the way up to about 1,000 grit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it outside and wet sand one more time, get some of the swirls out, and then from there we'll go ahead and hit it with a polisher and bring it right up to what the rest of the
That's actually amazing. You can actually see the defects in that right there, so it just keeps going down. And by the time you finish polishing something, do you ever mic it to see how much you've taken off?
Yeah, actually that came up in one of our little mechanics corners, and very little, if any. If I'm losing thousands, it's not even noticing it.
Really?
So there's very little. As you can see the dust, I sanded this whole thing right here, and there's hardly any dust, so that's indicating that I'm not removing a lot of material.
Yeah, if you mic it and there's nothing there.
Yeah. So,
oh, that's cool. So I know the right wing is pretty much you know, ready to rock and roll, and we've held off riveting any of the bottom skins on in case we have to look inside.
Correct.
For the left wing.
Right.
And the left wing is I know you got most of the skins made, and you're just starting to polish them.
Yeah, so we had a little bit of work ahead of us, you know, with this wing. That's why we held off and went with this last, is to open up the other one, and this one had a lot of damage right here.
Right.
And so I think we've noticed that in the past. So I was able to go in and correct all that, reverse engineer everything off the other wing, and duplicate it over to here. So everything is 100% as the right wing. So everything that was in question is all gone and replaced.
Good. So this side, and I know there was, in fact, we don't even know if the airplane flew after they put it together. It might have just been, hey, let's just patch it up and then make it static.
Exactly.
That's all been fixed.
And let's hope it was that.
Yeah. So obviously is this the skin you're working on?
Yeah. This is the skin that's over on the bench now. So it lays up over the corrugation. This is the one section of the wing that is corrugated.
Okay.
So that skin is like 25 thousandths. Simply just creates a smooth airflow opposed to this. So this is all of our strength here, obviously, and leading edge is thicker, and that will get polished as well to match. And the process after that is I'll epoxy prime and paint everything inside, and then rivet the structure together at that point.
Awesome. So over here we've got, this wing's pretty much done, except for the leading edge and a little spot down there.
Right, that's it. Yep, and I just opted out to do that until I put it on. We're
still tweaking the edges.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I was just not sure of the sanding as far as it butting together, so I waited, and now it'll get done when it's on there. Everything's flush riveted there, so there wouldn't be an issue with any shadowing around the rivet like I was concerned of with the rest of the wing.
Good, and then this side you got all the skins on. And
everything's fitting. I had to make a handful of ribs throughout for either damage or it wasn't much corrosion, actually. We were very fortunate with that. So it was mostly just damage or some repairs that maybe just didn't pass what I like to see in there. So I just remade new ribs. It's probably 6 or 8 of them maybe total. And they're all in there, all drilled up, dimpled if needed to be, whatever needed to be done. So they're just waiting to get final process with paint, and then they'll get installed.
Great. And so this wing, all the top skins are riveted.
Correct.
Yes. This wing we haven't started on yet. So when do you think you'll start? As soon as you get the
I'm hoping in the next couple weeks, I should get the skins up to speed and primered, and then at that point start putting all the structure final in. I'll have some D rivets, so I'll have to do a little heat, you know, softening them and do that, and then the skins will start going on, and I'll do the top just like I did that, and we'll just basically catch up to this wing.
Right.
And then if I have to access anything, we did leave those skins off, and then we'll start sealing up the bottom and closing it out.
Wow, that's man, you start working on those bottom skins, that's going to be pretty exciting.
I know it, definitely.
Good.
They gave me plenty of options to get in there, so
Good. Good. Well, I'm going to go check out, see what Ken's up to. Well, thanks, Rick. It's looking really, really good.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, so Rick's doing a frickin' awesome job on that airplane. Let's go see what Ken's up to. Hey, Ken.
Hey, Kermit.
Just checking up, see what everybody's up to.
All right, I'll give you an update here on the project here.
You working on?
Right now, I'm just working on the firewall, finishing up the last little cutout where the throttle comes through.
So this was the old one.
That's the old one, yeah.
Huh.
So this is done. I'm debating on whether or not
And this is just aluminum.
it is.
Really? Okay. I mean,
I'm
of course.
debating on whether or not we should paint this, because look how corroded that is. So it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and paint this gray or something.
Yeah, even if, you know, we've got that silver we're looking at doing that Paul knows about that
Right.
looks like aluminum, so that might be
Yeah, that
something to
might be
consider.
something too. But yeah, I was
Okay.
just finishing this out. It'll hide all the scratches from the sanding.
Yeah, good.
Been jumping around a little bit. The fuselage is really coming together, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
But kind of what's holding a couple of things up. One is the wire and the ferrules. So we've got 110 wires to make
For the cross bracing.
for all
and
the cross
fuselage,
bracing,
okay.
but we don't have any ferrules just yet. So that's kind of on hold. I have finished up making all the verticals. They're all drilled and fitted and everything, and it's kind of bolted together. In the meantime, I've jumped around to get other things done. We got the elevator there. I've got all the horns put on. Again, we're getting ready to put the wires on from here
Right.
to here.
Are these all new, or are they?
No, this is what was on the
Oh, that
airplane.
looks really good condition.
Yeah, but we don't want this. I mean, this.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, this is all the original stuff that unfortunately we're not using. So these are the wires that were on the airplane.
I see.
But we're making all new ones. So we're
Okay.
waiting again.
The-
we're waiting
What
on-
you're saying is these are not original, this is
No,
what Tall Man
this
said.
is all new stuff. This was all done for Waldo Pepper. you
Yeah,
know, when they
okay.
did the film.
All right.
And again, I've been working on the sheet metal a little bit. There's the top piece. That's almost done. This is I rolled in the last part. A little difficulty with our ring, you know, getting that sorted.
Oh, so this, does the cowling actually wrap around this
Yes,
piece?
it does. It rolls this way. Yeah.
Huh,
yeah.
okay. And as I remember, I think you already got the leather
Yeah, all
done?
the leather's done. The
Okay.
windshields are done. Yeah, yeah.
Huh.
A lot of pieces been made.
God, it's been so long. I flew about 25 hours on this in Miami, you know? And I don't remember the cockpits being that. This is the original size of the cockpit?
They were actually bigger.
Oh, they were bigger. Okay, that's,
Those are according to the drawings. So you see what they've done?
wow. I wonder if they did that for filming for Waldo Pepper or something.
No, I don't think so. But quite frankly, the reason I think they opened that stuff up is to get some light on the instrument panel.
Really?
Yeah. See these holes here?
Yeah.
There's plastic, clear plastic that goes in those holes, and that allows light onto the instrument panel. But I'm just wondering if they didn't, that they really destroyed this. when
Yeah. I don't
they did
think also too, you know, because they use two standard J-1s in Waldo Pepper, and the other one I think is up at Creve Corps, I think, or
Right.
something in St. Louis.
Right.
And you know, they say how it was the airplane of Waldo Pepper, but this is the one I think they did most of the flying in.
Yes.
And if you look at it, the way you can tell is if it's got these, it's our airplane.
Right.
So, because my airplane was owned by Tall Mance, and the other one was owned by Ernie Freeman, I believe.
Yeah, well, we'll get into when we get to the seats, you'll see the difference, what they had to do for that
Yeah, you
film
can
as
see
well.
here where of course, they used 4130 around there, and then this is all wrapped
It's
around
wrapped around it.
the deal there. Of course,
Yeah.
looks like kind of
I don't know what
a
that
shade
is.
tree deal there.
This is the stick assembly. There's these rails that bolt into.
Oh, this is upside down.
It's upside down. And I'm in the process right now of drilling these. And these weren't even on these.
Oh.
And so when I was making up parts and I'm saying, where do these go? Because the one thing about the drawings that I have, they're the drawings of each part. And that's all well and good,
But you gotta know where.
but it doesn't tell you where it goes.
I'll be darned.
So, so it is a little bit of a little
So
mystery.
are these the actual wooden pieces that go in the fuselage?
Yep.
I see, okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay, good.
And so, like I said, and what this does, which is different from what was in the airplane, it's gonna drop that stick down a half-inch lower. And I don't, hopefully we don't run into some problem, but this is ash. This is supposed to be, you know, kind of a reinforcement for
Right.
this. And these did not have it. They bolted these directly to the top.
And
of
that's
these.
spruce.
That's spruce, right.
Huh. And this is all not painted enamel, this is powder
This is
coated.
all powder coated.
Well, that's good. Well,
It's all
that'll last for another 100 years.
That's all powder coated. So where I just had that, I just turned that upside down. I did have it over here and was fitting the seats to it. And here, these are the seats that attach. So here, those are the seats. And there again, what we had with Waldo Pepper for the film,
Yeah.
they had, this was the
That was so the kid and his dog could
And
sit
his
in the front
dog
seat.
said they've had to put a bench seat in. And I was telling Paul, you know what, in our storage bay, we've got the other seat that looks like this one. So it had two of these seats, but for the movie, they had to
Right.
tear that out. And boy,
Right.
that is a real piece of work over there.
Oh, my God.
Anyway,
That's the highest hardware store quality
that's a little rough.
AE plywood you could
I
find.
know, that's a little rough.
These were the floorboards that were in the airplane
These
right
are the
here.
floorboards, and I'm laying those out, and again, they get all built totally different. So that's kind of gonna be my,
And we got these look like the wheels and the tires are all.
those are the wheels and tires, yeah.
And were you telling me that they didn't have the right ones? Oh, they had like those Model A tires on our wheels or something.
That's what they had on this airplane, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so we're going back to the original.
Two original tires, yeah.
Good.
The Model A tires, they are so heavy. The insurance requirement for that film, they had to have brakes,
Oh, my God.
and that's why they opted to put those Model A wheels on.
I
It had all that brake system is in a box over here where they had pulleys, because it was all mechanical
I'll be darned.
in there, cables running and.
Oh,
But the seats are a bit of a mystery, again, how they actually attach. Paul has a friend at the Air Force Museum who was kind enough to, they have a J-1 that doesn't have any fabric on it. And so he went and took a whole bunch
Oh,
of pictures, and that answered a whole lot of questions as to how this actually hangs. It actually hangs with a steel strap off of the member that crosses here down to here. So that's what holds the back of the seat, is a steel strap.
okay.
Yeah. So.
Interesting. Well, I'm not going to pull a lot of G's in it, so.
So, anyway, so that's kind of where we're at, working with the seats. As soon as I get this done, I'll be turning that back over and going ahead and attaching the seats to this framework. This just will drop in as a whole unit
Okay.
into
Good.
the airplane.
And so this is just still like the tank center section,
Yeah,
the top
the
wing.
center section, all the fittings have been put on.
Okay.
Again, we're waiting, I've put all the shackles on, so we're ready to go.
I assume you pressure tested this and everything.
Yep,
Yeah.
so we're all good to go. The
And,
rudder.
and
again,
everything's, except for the fuselage, everything's covered, but not everything is through color. Is that right?
Just a few wing panels are not painted yet. So far, the tail group is painted. Eric just finished that.
Okay.
The turtle deck's covered, the rudder, fin, stabilizer, elevators, ailerons, center section. You know, all these parts are all painted. So the last thing to cover is the fuselage itself. And that just gets three pieces, the bottom and the two sides.
That doesn't look original.
It is not. That's what the radiator bolts to.
Okay.
Originally, that is a stamped piece, similar to what's in the Jenny. you know. But
We're just gonna go ahead and use what they had in there for,
we kind of need to put this back the way it was because
I mean, from the outside, you can't really tell,
you
can you?
won't see it at all.
Yeah, okay. And the radiator's up at,
Steve's making that.
Steve Litton,
He's
okay.
making a new radiator.
Oh, he's making a new one?
New one, yeah.
Yeah, because the original one was more like a automobile.
That's what he's saying.
Radiator,
Something's
but-
not quite right
yeah,
about
but
it. He's
it-
having to go to get the core, it's gonna have to be made in England, apparently.
Oh my
to
God.
make
So, is it like a tube one, like the Jenny? or-
Square tubes, yeah.
Square tubes, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
he's on that, and like everything, the jig has kind of done its job. It's all tied in from front to back.
Are we gonna use the original mounts there, engine mount?
You know, I decided to, I actually cut up pieces to make a new mount, but this is in pretty good shape, so I'm thinking
Okay.
I might go ahead and leave this.
I sand it up, seal it.
And there's actually a reason for that. This wood is also, feels a lot lighter than the wood that I've got, and so I'm kind of concerned about
But it
that.
looks like it's oak.
It's ash.
Ash, okay,
It's ash,
yeah.
so-
And I mean, originally this airplane had a 4-cylinder Hall Scott?
4-cylinder.
Yeah, which was a dog.
This thing probably couldn't get out of its own way.
Yeah.
With that engine, and so it was converted to a HISSO. And once you make that mod,
Yeah,
you know, the longerons are supposed to continue on here. When
It
you
is
put
a
a
big
different
deal.
motor, you've sawed
Yeah.
everything and.
but a lot of people converted them back then.
Right.
And it went from, I mean, what was the original 4-banger?
I think it was like 95 horsepower.
Oh my God, no, this is 180 horsepower, so it was a big deal. I tell you what though, the airplane flew pretty good. The only thing I remember was, other than the TBM Avenger, this had the heaviest ailerons of any airplane I've ever flown. And I don't know how they ever got a guy out on the wing, you know, when they were sitting there trying to, you know, keep the wing up with a wing walker. Oh my God.
Yeah, yeah.
So a lot of the, looks like these are ash.
Those are ash and those are all new.
Those are all new, the longerons are all new.
Yeah.
They've been spliced back here. The landing gear is
It's been fitted, it fits.
going back together. This is all, the wood's all original.
Yeah, well,
And some of this was new that we had made though, right?
every bit of the fittings are all brand new,
Okay,
because they were all destroyed.
but not here.
No, all that.
All the upper
all
ones,
the
yeah.
upper stuff.
That's good. Of course, it's got the, you know, the bungees for the shock absorber for the landing
Right, and
gear.
the axle's right over there. That has to be drilled for some attachments over there. It's on the table saw.
Oh, I see, okay.
That's
Yep.
the axle. And so
Huh.
they're there. And of course, you remember the instrument panels on the wall over there.
Yeah.
Got all the instruments for it.
Okay,
And you still need to make a decision on what stain you want to
Yeah,
put
okay.
on that. And I can go ahead and drill the holes and mount all the instruments. But this is gonna come out of the jig here pretty soon.
wow.
But the biggest chore is gonna be making all those wires.
But
They're just gonna
it
be
can't
one
come
at
out
a
of the
time.
jig until it's rigged though, right?
I will not tear the jig apart until all the wires are in.
And it's rigged?
And it's
Yeah,
rigged.
okay.
And then I'll just take this all apart and remove that whole thing. As a matter of fact, I've taken some pieces out already. So that will be completely taken out, and then the airplane can be lifted and
Good.
Put
So,
on its feet.
and let me ask you this, when you laid the jig out, was I mean, I assumed you checked the alignment and the trueness and all that stuff with what it was compared to what it should have been, and was it close or was it dead on?
it was pretty close.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Good. One thing that we need to consider before, you know, you start finalizing the wire tightness is we got to bolt the bottom wings on because you've already got those covered and those are already rigged. And you make sure that they fit on the fittings and make sure that they're not like this.
Right, you know what? I think that's gonna be kind of taken care of because the fittings, they go right here.
Yeah?
And so, these have all checked as to where they are, and if the gear fits, The wing really has to fit. But you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
We
My
probably
concern is
will.
a little bit off here makes a big difference at the wingtip. So
Right.
I'm just saying, before we finalize anything, we need to check by both. The top wing is not an issue because that whole
Right.
thing can sway with the cabanes and blah, blah, blah. But the bottom wing has got to be on, otherwise the top wing's going to be wrong, so.
Right.
Oh, that's cool.
And
good.
the angle of incidence is set, so that, you know, once those fittings are bolted in place, you know.
Good.
they-
And so I know we had, the prop's good, and the radiator is going to get made, and we've got an overhauled engine, but it's been a long time, and we haven't ever run one that when I had
Right.
it overhauled.
And
So,
I talked to Steve, and he's happy to do it.
okay, so we'll send it up there, let him take it apart, look at it.
And he added something I thought that was really a good idea. He said, send the prop up.
Oh, there we go.
And what he's gonna do, he's gonna use the Roberts engine stand,
Yeah, there you go.
and he's gonna run it.
Yeah, great.
And I think
good.
that's
And
a-
run it with the radiator, and you can check it
The
for
whole
leaks.
thing.
And,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a really good idea.
Yeah, then we got the whole power plant ready to go. It's already been running, and Kermit doesn't have to worry about it on a test
Or we
flight.
just drop it in, yeah.
I'll go sit up behind it with some goggles, you know, and just kind of get myself acclimated. So, well, good. Looks like you're making some great progress, and it's going to be exciting to get this thing out of the jig. So, anyway,
Yeah.
so what's going on with the Jenny? Can we go take a peek at that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The Jenny is right where it's up to the point where Jack needs to finish up the engine.
Yeah. So this has been sitting here for a while.
Quite a while, yeah. I'm waiting, where we're at with this is I've left it all open. Jack's gonna final the engine and go, he's gotta put the hoses on and make sure all the pins are in.
Uh-huh.
He's gotta pull the mag off because we got some bolts, heads of bolts that we have to drill. Remember
Oh yeah, yeah,
they
yeah.
capture the
Right.
cam bearings, and there's a few things that it's gonna really require really tearing that engine up, tearing it apart. So Jack's gonna get on that. I've left it open so that if he wants to put some new,
Also, too, remember to take the gaskets off. They're not
Yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
there.
all
Yeah, it was interesting. We learned something. It would make sense that you should have a gasket on there between the exhaust and the cylinder. We found out from an OX5 expert. You know what these little things here are for? Those little things there for? It's a hot spot on the engine, and it's to cool that part of the cylinder. So by putting a gasket there, you've completely disconnected that out of the intent that it was designed for. So we learned something. There's a lot of historical knowledge that gets lost over the years, and that was one of them that we were completely unaware of.
the other one, there's 3 bolts down the center of the case.
Yeah.
And those go in and actually pin the bearing that the cam runs in. And those heads of those bolts have to be drilled so that they can be safety.
Right.
All of our bolts are undrilled.
And they're not safety currently. Okay. All right.
So that's where we have to pull them out, and you have to look down through the hole and see if the bearing is sitting where it's supposed to be.
Oh
Because
my
it has to,
God.
the
Okay.
bolt is a special bolt, and it captures
Yeah.
that bearing so it won't move. So
Yeah.
that's something that we gotta
Learned. Okay. Super.
as well.
All right.
So
Yeah,
other than that, it's just whether or not any wiring, once, needs to be changed out. We haven't made a fuel lines yet. We're gonna go with
now,
modern.
refresh my memory. Andy went through this.
He did.
Right. Okay. Did we send the mag out? And,
Yes.
Okay. Okay. It's only got one mag.
Right.
I remember one time taking off. This was all open. When I was flying, and one day I took one of our like our little museum director who was running the Weeks Air Museum down at the time. I put him up in the front seat, and we took off, and there was a little bit of a rain shower. Of course, we're flying out of the grass because I'm not off the runways because it's got a tail skid and no brakes. And we took off, and we got a little bit of rain up there, and all of a sudden the engine started misfiring. And this thing only 90 horsepower. This airplane can barely fly. And all of a sudden we're missing a couple of cylinders, man. He turned around, and his eyes were just so big. Oh my God, I never forgot that.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're at. All the sheet metal's done. The wings have been on it. It's been rigged. It's ready for final
The
assembly.
oil level?
Yep.
That's cool. Oil level maximum. Of course, is that when the airplane's sitting tail low, or?
Yeah, you have to make sure that, you know.
So what's this little thing right here for? It says oil level maximum.
Yeah, well, I think you can pull that plug out of there.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Pull it out, and then if it drains out, then
Yeah,
okay.
because you don't want more oil in it than that.
Now, did we have the radiator tested?
The radiator was sent out,
Okay.
Brassworks in California did that.
Okay.
I think the core came from Ken High.
Very good.
So, yeah, and we have a new prop
You have a new prop?
for it over here somewhere wrapped up. And
Are these standard wings? Oh, those
Avro
fab.
504.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All the wings to the Jenny are all over here.
Cabane struts. I remember you had a
We
lot
still-
of fun making those.
Yeah, and we still have to solder these.
Right.
This is the last thing that has to be done, is these have to be soldered.
Huh.
And they'll look like that.
Right.
And once that's done,
And as I remember, these, when they were made off a set of plans, but the problem was the different airplanes over the time had different locations for the top wing.
yeah, 4 inches difference.
4 inches difference, and it was, for what reason? Weight and balance, obviously.
Yeah, just, again, just when you look at all the different airplanes that the Jenny had, the different
Right,
models, you know, some of them the engine is tilted down,
Right.
some of the engine is straight. There's all kinds of interesting things about this, and that was one of them. Is the stagger on the prototype was like 10 3/8 or something.
Yeah.
The airplane you're talking about was 12 inches, and ours is 16 inches.
Whoa.
So it was a big difference.
I'll
yeah.
be darned. So they actually, by moving the top wing forward, they were actually moving the CG aft.
Right.
I'll be darned. Okay. Huh. Glad I went on a dot. That's all I'm saying. Well, this all looks good. Man, this has all been rigged and good. Well, awesome. We've got some Cowan over here, looks like.
Yeah, that just needs to be dropped on, and
Yeah, that looks great. So is this for the fuel
fuel.
tank? Oh, leather looks great. Windscreens. It's awesome. Little brass screws, you know. That's going to be great. Yeah, this thing was fun to fly, but it was not a performer, as I remember, with 90 horsepower. Anyway, we'll see. In fact, it's interesting. The first time I ever flew the Jenny, I bought it, and it was up at the EA Museum. Bought it from Dan Newman, and it'd been sitting there for a while. And anyway, so we finally cut a deal, and they were doing Jennies to jets that year at Oshkosh, and they had Curtiss Jennies, and then they had some of the classic jets. My first flight ever in a Jenny was out of the Pioneer Airport, okay? And the guys told me, they said, look, when you do the run-up, get everybody hold the wings back with the chocks, because there's no brakes, and you run it up, and you got to make sure, I think the red line's 1700 or something, but you had to have 1550 to take off, otherwise you were going to have a problem. And so I sat there and I ran up. My first flight ever in a Curtiss Jenny was out of the Pioneer Airport, around the whole Oshkosh campground area, and into the air show circuit for the first night of the Jennies display. We had 6 or 7 Curtiss Jennies flying around, and my first landing was between the runways at Oshkosh during the air show. So anyway, fond memories. Well, awesome. Good. Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. That was awesome. Cool. Anyway, so Ken's doing a great job. Paul's working on this thing. It's called a BF-108, but we'll worry about that later.